Good morning. I'm Megan Dollar, Legislative Advocacy Manager for the Colorado Municipal League, and welcome to a special edition of CML State House Report. An extraordinary session was recently completed by the Colorado General Assembly. The governor called this special session to pass legislation to provide COVID-19 relief in the areas of housing, utilities, broadband, and of course direct relief to small businesses, including but not limited to restaurants. Ultimately, of the over 30 bills that were introduced, 10 of those passed. Some where it could be argued that they did not actually fit the call. In this video, I wanted to provide a quick summary of the legislation that passed, specifically the legislation that CML took a position on or watched very closely. All of the following bills passed during the special session, and the first one I want to talk about is probably the bill that underwent the most work after it was introduced, which is Senate Bill 20B001. The bill provides $37 million in direct relief to small businesses, $7.5 million for arts and cultural organizations, and $4 million for minority-owned businesses. The bill also provides state assistance to support a one-year suspension of health inspection and liquor licensing fees, though I do want to note that local licensing fees are not affected. Small businesses is defined as one that has made less than $2.5 million in the calendar year of 2019. The way the bill works is that counties that are under severe capacity restrictions as determined by a public health order and that are in compliance with the order must develop a process to accept applications from small businesses for relief of funding. That funding will be allocated by the Division of Local Government in DOLA to counties based on the population of the eligible governments. It's important to note for municipalities that the legislation was amended during the process to allow the participation of small businesses located in municipalities that are in compliance with state public health orders, in the event that perhaps the county is not in compliance. In addition, the legislation sets forth a process for municipalities to work with counties to get assistance to small businesses out as quickly as possible. The idea is to be similar to the process that was used to distribute CARES Act funding as recently as this month. Another thing to note is that CML did go back and forth with the bill sponsors on whether or not it was clear enough in the bill that municipal-owned and operated performing arts centers and cultural centers are eligible for the $7.5 million in the bill. CML was assured by the sponsors that they are, in fact, eligible, and we will encourage those entities to apply. Ultimately, with the positive amendments that were added to the bill through the process, and the intent of the bill to get necessary relief to businesses and arts venues and municipalities, CML took a support position on this piece of legislation. The lobbyist that covered the bill for CML is Morgan Cullen, as he covers economic development. Please contact him for more information and any other questions that you have. The next bill I want to talk about is Senate Bill 20B002, which transfers $54.5 million from the general fund to the Housing Development Grant Fund to provide housing assistance via existing programs, such as the Property Owner Preservation Program, or POP as it's often referred to, which provides funding to landlords for rental replacement. Additionally, the bill transfers $5 million from the general fund to a newly created fund, which is the Emergency Direct Assistance Grant Fund. In order to provide, the fund is in order to provide grants to individuals who experience financial need due to COVID-19 and who may not be eligible for other types of assistance, those individuals typically being undocumented immigrants. Finally, the bill transfers $1 million from the general fund to the Eviction Legal Defense Fund. I want to add that many municipalities have worked with their constituents to also provide rental assistance and make sure that their vulnerable individuals can stay in their homes during this extraordinary and tough time. CML did support this bill, and we thank the sponsors for pursuing additional necessary funding to make sure that people can stay in their homes. One other piece that I want to talk about that did get discussed during the process was regarding potentially transferring some of the money to Energy Outreach Colorado to be used specifically for water utility payments for low-income Coloradans. Ultimately, that bill was not amended to include that, but I do think that that's something that will be pursued in 2021. If you have any questions on the housing pieces, please feel free to contact me and Senate Bill 2. But for questions on the water utility assistance and what may be happening in the future, please feel free to contact Heather Stauffer in our office. Next, I want to talk about House Bill 20B-1004, which allows qualifying retailers in the bar, restaurant, and mobile food services industries to temporarily deduct up to $70,000 in net taxable sales from their monthly state sales tax return and retain the resulting sales tax revenue. So that equates to a net deduction of about $2,000 in sales tax collection per retailer per site for up to 5 sites. The temporary deduction will be allowed for sales made in November and December of 2020 and in January and February of 2021. Of note, the legislation does not impact local sales tax that a state collected. So ultimately, CML was neutral on the bill, although we did follow it very closely. Please contact me if you have any questions on that piece of legislation. Next, I want to talk about House Bill 20B-1005, which allows the governing body of a statutory municipality and a county to limit the fee that a third-party food delivery service may charge to a retail food establishment during the COVID-19 public health emergency. There was a lot of discussion and a lot of stakeholder work throughout the process on that bill. Ultimately, CML did support the legislation, and we appreciated the bill sponsor, Representative Shannon Bird from Westminster, for reaching out and working with us and making sure that the bill worked for statutory municipalities. The final bill I want to talk about is Senate Bill 20S003, which transfers $5 million to the Energy Outreach Colorado program within the Colorado Energy Office for them to provide direct energy bill payment assistance to low-income households. CML supported this piece of legislation not only because it provides financial relief for families across Colorado, but also it provides assistance for utilities, including municipal-owned utilities, that have seen an increase in the number of customers unable to pay for service. For questions on that piece of legislation, please contact Morgan Cullen. And that concludes my overview of the extraordinary session that recently concluded. As we get nearer to the 2021 regular session, look for more information from the CML advocacy team on pending legislation, as well as the League's 2021 legislative priorities. It is a privilege to represent you all at the Capitol and represent municipalities across Colorado. Please always feel free to reach out to your CML advocacy team. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great day.